Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. When Nigerians think about governance, attention often turns to the president, governors, or National Assembly. But quietly and critically, the 36 state houses of assembly play a powerful role in shaping how laws affect citizens at the grassroots. These assemblies, made up of elected representatives from each state constituency, are closer to the people, yet remain underreported, under-scrutinized, and often underestimated. It's another beautiful week on your favorite show, a beautiful new episode on Ways Prime Time. Yes, my name remains Osayome Sally, and today we are discussing why state houses of assembly matter more than you think. And we have with us our guest from Enough is Enough, Ufuoma Nnamdi Udeh. She is a Senior Programs Associate at EIE, and she'll be joining me much later. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation. Add your voice to the discussion every single day. You can also head onto our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Subscribe, like, share, invite families and friends to also join the live shows right now. When I open the phone lines, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this topic. However, let me allow you to ponder on my quote for today, as always. Now, it says, the performance of a parliament defines the strength of democracy. A weak state assembly is a threat to development and participatory governance. And this was from Adamu Umaru Fintiri. It's okay. We'll delve into the conversation around the state houses of assembly. But first, let me run off on a break. When I come back, I want to let you in on my news interest for the day. Thanks for staying tuned. I'm going to start with Kemi Badnosh. Maybe that's how you pronounce her name. Do we play that video? Yeah, so she says, our country, a home, not hotel. She decries UK immigration's, what's it called? Immigration's crisis. It says the leader of the UK Conservative Party, Kemi Badnosh, has called on Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Labour government, to adopt the Conservatives' proposed deportation bill as a measure to reduce immigration. She shared a video on her official X account, and she issued a stark warning about the rising immigration levels, claiming that without urgent action, approximately 2 million immigrants could gain British citizen by next year, or citizenship by next year. From next year, 2 million immigrants could automatically claim British citizenship, and that's nearly twice the population of Birmingham. It says, we've introduced a deportation bill because we are committed to bringing immigration down. The proposed legislation published on Tuesday outlines the stringent measures intended to overhaul the UK immigration system. She explained that the bill includes provision of the deportation of all foreign criminals, mandatory age checks, tougher visa rules, disabled the Human Rights Act to immigration cases, make asylum support repayable and not permanent, rights to also stay in the UK if you rely on the benefits. She was emphasizing the urgency of the matter, and she said, until that's the law, we won't fix it. Labour should adopt it, and it's time to get tough. That's what the Conservatives' deportation bill deserves. Our country is a home and not a hotel. Do you want to listen to this video?
Could automatically claim British citizenship. 2 million people. That's nearly twice the population of Birmingham. That's massive. We've introduced a deportation bill because we're committed to bringing immigration down. Back in February, we demanded Labour triple the time for new immigrants to get a British passport. They voted it down. And now they've brought in some half-assed version that's not going to work. Here's what will work. Deport all foreign criminals. Mandatory age checks. No more pretending to be kids. Tougher visa rules and salary thresholds. Disapply the Human Rights Act to immigration cases. No more abusing human rights laws to dodge deportations. Make asylum support repayable. And no permanent right to stay in the UK if you've relied on benefits. Until that's law, we won't fix this. Labour should adopt it now. It's time to get tough. That's what the Conservatives' deportation bill delivers. And we're going to go further. Our country is a home, not a hotel. And if we don't defend it, no one else will.
Absolutely. No one will defend it. I leave it there. So Dangote Refinery offers 10 naira refund to on petrol to customers. So Dangote Petrochemical Refinery has effected another reduction in the ex-gantry price of its premium motor spirit, properly known as petrol. It announced that it is now 835 naira per litre. Sources confirmed on Monday that the refinery had reduced the price to 825 per litre for its customers through a rebate of 10 naira after successful loading of the product at the refinery. The sources said marketers are still paying 835 per litre for products but receive a 10 naira refund after loading and evacuating them from the refinery. This man is just a great businessman. I don't know how he's going to do it, but please, let's be careful. The government has to also intentionally find a way to make our refineries work. Because if our refineries work, we'll definitely, have a more fair balance, right? So that one person does not come tomorrow and now hold all of us to ransom. I am not desperate to return as Rivers State Governor. So I watched that video of Governor Simlai Fubara. He warned that the solemn occasion should not be misinterpreted, especially in the light of some... Oh, sorry. Let me start from where he started. He stated that he is not desperate to return to the office, revealing that his spirit left the government house long time ago. Fubara, however, acknowledged the immense support that he has received from many people and emphasized the importance of standing by those who made sacrifices for him. He made the remarks on Sunday during a night of tribute organized by Rivers Elders and Leaders Forum in honor of the late elder statesman, Chief Edwin Kiagbodo Clark. The event took place at the Royal House of Grace Church in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Fubara warned that the solemn occasion should not be misinterpreted, especially in light of some politically charged comments made by earlier speakers and clergy. He says this marked his first public speech since Bola Ahmed Tinubu suspended him from office and declared a state of emergency in the state on the 18th of March. If I had my way, I wouldn't want a return, Fubara said, but many people, including the late Chief Clerk, have made sacrifices for me. That's why I must stand by them. So he was reacting to the comment made by some speakers. Fubara expressed concern that the event might be misinterpreted as a political rally targeting his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, and the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He urged speakers to exercise restraint. He says, this is my first time speaking publicly since the event of March 18. He said, I have attended several gatherings, but I have been careful with my words. When the mood of an event doesn't align with my beliefs, I feel uncomfortable because many of you don't truly understand the situation. He continued to saying that it's not about shouting, Oshobe, Oshobe. At this point, that doesn't solve anything. So he said, I had to be here because Pa Clark was special to me. My presence today is most significant contribution I can make to honor him. Yeah, this is interesting. So I watched the video. That video made me smile. Abba said that if he had his way, that you not see the way he's looking fresh. That if he's had his way, he will not go back. But so what was the conversation around him meeting, what's it called, Wike, meeting the president, you know? I mean, there were news around that, or there was news around that last week, so I don't know. Yeah, same life, Fubara. Let's not just see tomorrow that you have decamped to APC, because that's what a lot of people are beginning to suspect that might happen. I don't know. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's discuss our houses of assembly. Stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
In many states, governors operate without real checks because the state houses of assembly are silent, inactive, or heavily influenced. This weakens democracy and affects how resources are allocated and used. From passing state laws to checking executive powers, the state and the national houses of assemblies influence touches, of course, their influence, touches key issues like education, health, budget, land use, security, local government autonomy, and when they work well, of course, democracy thrives. When they don't, there's also development that suffers. So joining me to shed light is Ufuoma Nnamdi Udeh. She's a Senior Programs Associate, EIE, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me, and she's joined me via Zoom. Hello, Ufuoma.
Sir, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, oh. So this conversation around local governments, our state houses of assembly is something that, a lot of us, as Nigerians, have been very, very guilty of it. So that's why I'm saying a lot of us. I didn't say a lot of them. I've been very guilty of not paying attention to what is going on in those areas because, again, we also were carried away by, or I was carried away by what was going on within the state
executive levels, right, both at state and federal level, like every other, or like a majority of Nigerians that do same. So why does this matter, right? Why does it matter that the state houses of assembly, why do they matter? And why do we need to intentionally, bring this conversation at the front burner?
Okay, thank you very much for having me again. I was going to say that you said local government because that's where your heart is. Anyways, I think that one of the reasons why it's important, so why state assemblies are important, also why like the National Assembly is important as well. So, but the state assembly, they act in a basically what the National Assembly does at the federal level, the state assembly, they do the same at the state level. So they also exist to make laws. So there are state level laws, which when we go further into the conversation, you will also see how that can be problematic. So they make laws. They also represent you. So the same way you have a representative at the federal level, the same way you have a representative at the state level. So if you're from Alimosho local government, or you're from Ikeja local government, you have a state assembly member, that's in Lagos State, that speaks on your behalf at the state assembly. The same way the National Assembly has a speaker, the State Assembly has a speaker, chief whip. So it's almost basically the same thing. So they do the same things, but at the state level. So they represent you. I said they make laws, they represent you, and they also perform oversight functions. So when we say that, no jokingly, people would say like governors are like those kings that they just, do whatever they like for 4 years. Like people don't really pay attention to what's happening at the state level. But then your state assembly, they are there to provide oversight function. They're the ones that approve or disapprove your state budget. They are the ones that ensure that, procurement processes and all of these processes are being followed. They act as your watchdog. So even things like public complaints, your state assembly can also attend to those issues. So they have what we call, I think it's called parajudiciary functions or something like that, where they can also, public complaints can also come to them and then they can sit on those issues. So when we have conversations on education at the state level, your representative important, because the same thing when we talk about budget that goes to education, or the percentage of your state budget that goes to healthcare, right? Those are the things that your state assembly, is supposed to look at when they see your governor's budget. So your state assembly, so we elect those people into offices for a period of 4 years to do all of these functions. So, and even when, for example, they are very important because there are so many laws that we have at the federal level that for it to become operational at the state level, the state assemblies have to agree to it. Also, when there are amendments or laws that are discussed at the federal level, for them to fully pass, like think about 2/3 of states have to also agree to those things. So you see that in the grand scheme of things, even like the conversations that happen at the national level, your state assembly is critical. I remember there was a time that people were talking about this child rights law, right? So we had about the child rights law. We had some states that signed this, or basically they ratified these laws. They ratified these laws and domesticated them. But we still had other. And so what that meant was that in some states, children were protected, while in some other states, based on the laws, right? But they were not protected based on the laws. So at the end of the day, you see that it's very important for you to know what is going on at your state assembly level, because many of these things we discuss at the federal level, when it comes down there, they also have to debate it. So you need to know these people. And I remember during the last elections when I went out to vote, and it was at the polling unit people even knew that there were people running for state assembly and stuff like that. So it shouldn't be the case. So yeah, we can just leave it at that for now. But that's in an overview of why it's very important that you know what you're, because that's their function. They exist to work for you, represent you, check your governor, ensure that even the judiciary is also so all of those checks and balances that we discuss at the national level, that's what they are there for. And if it wasn't so important, we wouldn't see situations where people are fighting to become Speaker of the House and all of those things. So yeah.
Interesting. It's very interesting because sometimes, again, you know, words can be very heavy, especially when you want to explain it to the layman, right? So it's important that you break it down so people can really see how this affects them. Because sometimes we actually just overlook these assemblies thinking that what it is that they're doing, concern us. Do you understand? But, I mean, heavily, everything that they do is a direct impact on, whether we are going to be living and breathing well in the States, right? So I was just going to ask, right, because most times when we hear oversight function seems like a very big word, right? How do you break oversight function in a layman's term? Because sometimes, they seem to be confused, even they themselves, as to what oversight function is for them. So maybe you should help me break down what an oversight function would be, so we have a clear understanding if they are actually clear on their JD.
All right. So oversight function, simply, it is you employ somebody to do a job. So you've employed your governor to come and, ensure that he protects the lives and properties of citizens in his state, to ensure that everywhere is safe, ease of doing business and things like that. Your state assembly, now, when you say they provide oversight function, it means that they act on your behalf to ensure that the governor is doing what he ought to do. They act on your behalf to ensure that the judiciary as well is doing what they ought to do. So they also are the ones that approve or disapprove who will be your commissioner. When the governor comes and says, oh, these are the list of the people, this is a list of the people that I want to be on my cabinet, this is the list of the commissioners, and stuff like that, because at the federal level we have ministers, so at the state level they are referred to as commissioners who have portfolios. So you have your commissioner of education, for example. Your commissioner of education is appointed by the governor, but his position is approved
by the assembly,
by the assembly, right? So when he's approved, so if I'm going to approve your appointment, definitely you're also accountable to me. So where there are challenges or where there are issues, so if I will always reference Ali Mosho because that's the local government where I grew up, and I say, oh, in Ali Mosho, and I say this is what's happening in Ali Mosho local government, and I reach out to my state assembly member who is representing me, or is divided into two. So we have Ali Mosho 1 and Ali Mosho 2. So if I reach out to the person that is representing me there, he can call the commissioner to come and sit before a committee, basically, to explain what he's doing and why some people are not expressing the dividend of his office or of his portfolio and things like that. Those are the oversight functions. So when a governor is not moving in the right way that he's supposed to move, right? Your state assembly is supposed to be there to say, hey, Mr. Governor, you shouldn't do this. This is not within your constitutional purview, or this is what you are supposed to do according to the Constitution. No, Mr. Governor, nobody approved X amount of money for you to do this. When the governor is overspending or underspending, when he's unable to, when the accounts are being audited and there are questions that need to be asked, your assembly member is supposed to, your state assembly rather, is supposed to call the governor or the executive into questioning and find out what exactly the challenges are. They are also, and I think because the core function of the legislature is representation rather, and so they are there on your behalf. The same way you say citizens are supposed to hold government accountable, the state assembly is supposed to hold other arms of government accountable well, right?
Yeah. So, sorry, Ufuoma, to cut you short. The reason I asked this question is because several times you will hear that a senator is building borehole. A senator is doing... so I'm wondering, right? Are they really supposed to, you understand, your assembly members or the people at the federal level, you know, senator or House of Rep members, are they actually supposed to have budgetary allocations to them, or they are supposed to just oversee different ministries, you understand? So they set up different committees and oversee what the ministers is doing at the national level and oversee what the commissioners are doing at the state level. Because every time you hear that, oh, I'm going to go and build road for my constituents, I'm going to go and build borehole, I'm wondering, because they are confusing me.
So that's why, if you noticed, in Lagos State, one of the things that you see that has been happening of recent, I think in the last few years, you see that they no longer say done by, it's now facilitated by, right? Because essentially, that's what you are expected to do.
You are supposed to fight for the development of that area, right? So you fight so that budget can be allocated to that area. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so for at the federal level, and I think that also applies at the state level, is that you can so you have a constituency allocation, right? Whereby you can, say, okay, my constituency, they need this, they need this, they need this, and everything. But you don't necessarily do this. There's an MDA or an office at the state level, like there's a commissioner, like we said, like you mentioned, that is in charge of doing these things. And so your role there is to ensure that it's done, that the right processes are followed, and your constituents see the dividend of you being in office on their behalf. But at the end of the day, these things can only be possible whereby there is some form of engagement with your constituency, with members of your constituency. Because what we see is that, for example, if in my local government or in my local government or where I reside, what we need is school. And we have boreholes, we have good water, but what we need is school. And my state House of Assembly member goes and does borehole again. Like, so because there is that form of engagement, you don't really see it, right? And I think this goes to one thing I was going to touch on in terms of the accessibility of citizens to their state members. I know that we say things like, people are not usually concerned about this, they don't really know about it. But it's also the responsibility of, government officials to make themselves accessible, right? INEC or states, INEC, they have their own responsibility in all of this, because in terms of amplifying elections, letting people know who they are voting for, and letting people know who they are voting for at what level. But then there's also the place of these elected officials to make themselves accessible. I know Lagos State has a functioning website. At least it's updated. That's the last point I checked. Some other states as well. But then when you start looking at different states, you see that the best that they have is information about their governor on the official website. When you start to look at, okay, so who is my legislator? Or who are people that are in the legislature at the state level? You don't see that information. Or some states will give you a list, and then there's no face to it. You don't know the person's name. And then you go on to say, okay, so where is my legislature's office? Is he always just sitting down at the State House? Does he have a constituency office as well? But that's easier for members of his constituency. Imagine if I'm from Ikorodu. Will I be traveling all the way to Ikeja to come and see or if I'm in Ibejuleki, to come and see my legislature? All of those things are also ways by which people can engage. So when that is created and that is amplified, it makes it easier for people to know that, okay, these people exist and this is what they're actually doing, right? Because at the end of the day, you will not necessarily say, oh, they're doing zero, they're not doing anything. But nobody really knows what they are doing because we can't see them. They are not seen. They are interesting. They are really not seen.
Interesting. So I like what you've said about engagement, right? Because again, even in my children go to Olashore International School. They are graduating now. But I know that by the time they get to senior year, one of the things they do as part of corporate social responsibility is that they go into the community. They speak to the community leaders and the, representatives, right? And say, okay, we want to do something for you people. What do you want? So, I mean, over the years, it has always been, oh, okay, this fence in our community center fell. We need to rebuild it, or we need to repaint this. We need to, that are just really small projects. It's just to teach them the ability to go back to the people and say, you know what do you want? Then you do it. Because it will not make any sense. Like you rightly said, that they need a school and you're building a borehole. It doesn't make any sense. So one of the biggest challenges that we have right now is security, right? Let's start from security, then we'll now touch on the high level of unemployment. How do you think a proper engagement with the with the state houses of assembly and the National Assembly, how do you think a proper, engagement with them would change, or improve our security architecture? What are they supposed to be doing?
So I think that the same way we have committees at the federal level to address certain issues, the same way we have committees at the state level in the state House of Assembly to address certain issues. So the first one would be to what's the name of the standing committee that is responsible for security and etc. in the states. The second one will be who is the chair of that committee? Like, is it existing? Who's the chair of that committee? How do I reach out to the person and then sending a petition? When you send that petition to the person and then you follow up and stuff like that, what is expected of the State House of Assembly is to call all the relevant parties together, right? It's similar to something like we had during the NSAS judicial panel, right? That happened in different states. So imagine if you have all of these, you have the police, in the room as well. So you're asking them questions. They also need to speak to the governor, like, what's your plan for this? This is what is happening. What are you guys doing about it? Who is the commissioner of police? What is going on? What is the plan? And then, they start to work together. So there's that collaboration that happens between the different agencies, security architecture in the state, the State House of Assembly, the executive as well. And then when the judiciary needs to come in, the judiciary comes in to just ensure that there are proper punitive measures for cases where people that break the law and affect security and stuff. That's what we're supposed to see. Then we're supposed to see those types of engagements. They are supposed to also let us know what it is that they are doing. Those are not the things that you will be doing. You are doing closed door meeting and everything. Like all the closed door meetings that you've done, what have they led to? Let us know what it is that you are doing.
They are supposed to also monitor the budget that is allocated for security, right?
Yes, so there's also that. So that's also part of the things that they will discuss when they call Mr. Governor to say, you can't say that you want to spend X amount of money and this is what is happening. And that's the place of data. That's where the place of data comes in. So these are the number of cases, because I think one thing that is very rampant, especially recently, is this cases of missing people. I don't know if you see them a lot on your social media timeline.
Feed, yeah.
But every day it's like fresh 50 people. It's like, what is really going on? Those are the type of issues that we should be discussing at the State House of Assembly. Like, okay, so this state is not safe. People are not, this is happening, that is happening. And then they're receiving petitions left, right, and center from citizens as well. So the same way we don't want the National Assembly members to sleep, the State Assembly members, they're even closer to us because they are living with us in the same states. They should not sleep. And we engage them time to time. And so because we are engaging them consistently, they are now forced to do something about it, and then also come back to tell us that, oh, this is what I have done, this is what I am doing, these are the conversations that we're having. We have called XYZ for a meeting. And if that person doesn't come, at least, there's now that place of public pressure that can happen on whichever head of ministry or head of security infrastructure that doesn't attend the summonings of the House of Assembly, just to ensure that there's that collaboration between the House of Assembly, the executive, and then the law as well.
Okay.
So I think that should be like what we should expect. We should see that, I don't know, it should be alive. You know, I think State House of Assembly should be vibrant. It should be alive. Like when issues are going on within the state, you
and
should
all
be able
those deliberations. But usually all those deliberations, I know that most of the state houses of assembly, they televise those deliberations. Maybe it is just us that we're not conscious of it and paying attention to it. But you know what? Let's go on a short break, right? When we come back from that break, we'll shed more light on this conversation. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlights. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Or staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we are discussing why state houses of assembly matter more than you think. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call our phone lines. The numbers to call are 07025 007749 or 07014242420. Let's hear what you have to say. So, I mean, I was having a conversation with Ufuoma, and let me just say that, you see, in case you did not know, right, how you are affected, even if you've never been to your state assembly's complex, right, the laws passed there can shape your everyday life, right? Public service, for instance, state laws determine how health, education, infrastructure, services are delivered, right? Budget spending, assemblies also approve and monitor how your state's funds are spent. So when it comes to youth and employment programs, right, many of these initiatives require enabling legislation for it to, you know, just be good. Then on security, as I'd asked Ufuoma, state-supported vigilante groups and community policing frameworks are subject to the assembly and the laws and, of course, their oversight. So when these powers are not used to protect citizens' interests, right, the effects are felt in poor services, corruption, and, of course, unaccountable leadership. That's what you see. So that's why it's important that you pay attention to what is going on in your State House of Assembly. Don't be thinking of Tinubu all the time. Don't be thinking of Sanwo-Olu all the time. Or don't think of Oboriwobi all the time. You know, think of the State Houses of Assembly. Think of the National Assembly. These are the, what's it called? These are the institutions that protect your interest as a citizen. So if you are not paying attention, if you've not been paying attention, then you need to start to pay attention. Okay, so Ufuoma, I would like to ask, what can be done, right, you know, in terms on the part of the citizens? What can be done? Ufuoma, are you there? If you're there, you need to unmute yourself.
Ooh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was speaking. Yes, I said, I mean, I think the first thing is we need to know these people, right? We need to know them. So I know that if you go on shineyoureye.org, you would be able to find where this, I mean, the data there is continuously being updated, right? But then you would be able to find at least 60 to 75% accurate data on who your state's legislator is. You know, you need to know them, you need to engage them. You need to also understand, like, well, I was going to say something, but it doesn't apply to us here right now. You need to track their legislative record.
Okay, so sorry,
you know,
Ufuoma, before we go on tracking the legislative record, right? When you say engage with your representatives, now, do we have a platform that the representatives are also seeing it? And you are going there to go and engage them. So it's almost like, okay, this is the platform where you, as a representative, you're able to see what is being reported about your what's it called, your constituency. And I, as the, what's it called, the complainant, I'm able to drop my complaint and the representative sees it and is able to take action. Because if I go to shineyoureye.org, for instance, if I'm just only picking the phone number, who then monitors that this person is responding to me?
So I think that's a step.
Oh, sugar. Ufuoma, are you there? Because what Ufuoma, are you there? Oh, sugar. We're having network challenges. I was just going to say that because, you see, it's not enough. The reason you see a lot of our lawmakers or presidents or governors or whatever responding, EFCC, responding on social media, is because on social media, they know that when somebody posts something and it goes viral or people see it, they know that people are watching to see that they are going to respond, you understand, or are watching for their actions or reactions or whatever it is you want to call it. But if I just go to a platform and I pick up the number of my representative and I engage that representative maybe on private chat, on WhatsApp or whatever, and the representative does not respond to me, how do we then monitor whether the people are even responsive? Ufuoma, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
So I think that's one of the ways by which we encourage people to use this Shine Your Eye platform. It's also something that we did when the whole River State of emergency was happening. We usually have, share
oh wow, today is today. We want to bind and cast every network problem. Because I really want to know how we're able to engage them. So it's so I'm hoping I'll be able to get Ufuoma back, right? But she was going to touch on something. She says, you know, we need to track their legislative record. So, for instance, what is your representative doing? What are the kind of bills, you understand, that they have sponsored? You know, what kind of motions they've moved in the House? It's not just enough for you to say, okay, we have a representative and all of that. How many things have you done in that House that represents my interests? Do you understand? And that is what we mean by tracking their legislative record. Have you passed a bill that protects me? You know, all of those things. Have you sponsored a bill? Have you, moved a motion that impacts me? You know, so we need to be clear so that even inside that house, we're able to identify the ones that are just there to occupy space. So when it's the next election, we say, come, Oga, you didn't do much. You understand? You have of no use to us. Because, you see, those state houses of assembly and the national houses of assembly, they have the tendency to be there forever. Like, literally, some people can be there for 30 years, 40 years. Unprovoked. They will just be there. But if they are effective, it's not a problem. But if they are just there occupying space and nothing is being done, or they are not having any impact, you understand, then of what use are they to be in that place? Ufuoma, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, all right. Oh yeah, quickly, you were trying to say that what you did in River State.
So yeah, so basically we gave people format messages, told them to engage their representative, and then we asked them, people shared it. Oh, I reached out to my representative, this is the message. So there were people that sent messages, received feedback. There were people that called and the representative was like, oh, my hands are tied. There were people that called and said, there's nothing we can do, we've already voted, all of those things. So there was live engagement. So, and something like that we do as well. If we send a letter to an organization or to a government agency, we post it online and tag them. So citizens are also aware that, oh, EIE Nigeria sent a letter to X agency to find out about XYZ, and it has been acknowledged. So we post the acknowledgement copy. Do you see? So you will not say, no, you did not get it, you did not receive it. No. If you check, it's in your archives, and then we follow up. In the place of tracking to ensure that they are effective and they actually
engage, yes,
doing what they do, and they engage. I think that's the next step we need to go to in our own legislative processes. That's a bit whether state or federal. Because how do I even know that my legislator came to work? How do I know? Is it they're still signing papers? Do you see when they were voting, they were signing? No. The world has advanced. That's why CSOs were clamoring for openness. You know, open state assembly. Let everything be open and transparent. Let your records be public. Publish this thing. You know, you put out other papers. So I'm sure that some state house of assemblies, they also share like their other papers on specific groups, which I think that those groups should be open and should be made known to the public. Let people know that groups like that exist. That's one thing this current 10th House of Assembly that they are doing at the national level that I think we can give them kudos for. Every day there's a platform where anybody can join the platform, and you will just be receiving like the other paper, what they're discussing, who said this, who sponsored that, and stuff like that. That's how you can track. Next step should have these things on your websites. You know, let us know how many legislative days are in a month. Who came, what is the person talking about, what bill is the person sponsoring, what motion is the person moving, which committee, what's happening in the committee at this point in time. All of those things should be live. That's what I meant when I said like the House of Assembly should be alive. It should be breathing. It should be active. We should be able to go on their platforms to see that, oh, this is what is going on. This is the stage where this bill is. So that's what we mean by tracking. It's beyond, honestly, right? Your state House of Assembly member is beyond facilitating roads for you. You know, that's good. You know, but when we talk about laws, I like the one I referenced, the child right laws. Those are the critical issues, because tomorrow when there's an issue, everybody runs. You know the way law is in Nigeria. When there's an issue, everybody runs back to the fine print of the law. So your state House of Assembly member should also not be somebody that did not go to school, somebody that doesn't understand all of these things. No, you need to have somebody that is able to represent you properly.
Absolutely.
You know, somebody that understands why they are there. You need to push for engagement. You know, when we talk about debates, that's one thing that I know EIE does and tries to do well, is to also, when we don't just do debates at the state level, in terms of executive level and national level, we also do something we call legislative dialogues, you know, where people that are running for legislative offices, they can also interact with people. Let us know what is your agenda for going to the legislature. You also need to have a plan. as a legislative member, so your people know what it is they are checking you against. And so when you have interactions with your legislator, or you walk up to your you go to your state assembly complex and you want to go and meet this person, know what, for example, I think the easiest one we can do is even committee, right? Because we didn't know when they were running for election. You know, we can say we didn't know when they were running for election. We weren't really informed about the entire situation. But now, what can we do? The remaining the different committees, you know, whatever your issues are, what are the people in that committee? What are you doing at this point as well? And then you can take it from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're still having a bit of struggle with your network. But I was just going to say that is now on the part of the citizen, right? Because we're touching on what can be done on the part of the citizen. So on the part of the state houses of assembly, so how do they assert their constitutional independence? How do they show us that they are no longer here to just act as rubber stamps?
Honestly, I will say that they know. They know. Because when it comes to ratifying federal laws, their shoulder is usually up. Have you seen that with TikTok challenge?
Yes.
Their shoulder is really up.
High.
So they know. Yes, their shoulder is high because they know what, you know, they are supposed to do. It's just that the same way we say they perform oversight function. The people that are supposed to perform oversight function on them are not performing oversight function. That's us. You know, so the first one is for us to tell them, guys, you guys are there for a reason. We will remove you. You can also recall the same way you can recall your federal representative, you can recall your state representative as well. You know, we will remove you if you're not doing.
I like Ufuoma. So I will remove you if you do not protect my interest.
Protect my interest. You know, if I'm not seeing you, do you know that them not engaging you is enough for you to say, this guy, you're not
trying at all. Yes.
No, you want to come back every 4 years. I only see your face every 4 years.
Absolutely.
You know, so those are the things we do our part. Then them on their own, I feel like they should conduct public hearings when the governor is coming to present the budget. Let's know about it. Let's know about it. Invite people, and don't do that thing where you put up the post the evening before the day the governor is coming. You and I know that the governor, you did not just know that evening. You know, you and I know you did not just know that evening. You did it in such a way that you don't want people to, be there, and people to be there. So give people ample time to be able to engage on such issues. Like, okay, there's going to be a public hearing on the budget. There's going to be a public hearing on the Committee of Technology is calling the tech ecosystem. You know, all of those things. Let people be aware and give them enough time to be able to be present, to engage with these things. And I think that another one is to stand firm on oversight functions. You know, you guys are not there to do the whims and the caprices of the governor. You are not there to ensure that somebody wins election, whether at the federal level or at any level. That's not why you are there. You are there primarily to protect the people's interests.
So, Ufuoma, quickly, because we are running out of time. Quickly, civil society and media, what's our role? Quickly, just run through it.
Our role is to do what we are doing, to continue engaging, educating citizens, and then providing and monitor their activities as well. Because, citizens, maybe not everybody is going to be able to track the bills, track the laws and stuff. So we can do that. And then we amplify, our findings for citizens to be able to engage effectively with the right information. And I think we can also engage, government officials. Sometimes they really do not know. Better. We can also engage them to say, okay, these are global best practices, these are the things that you should be doing. Some of them are usually receptive, and so we find those ones that are receptive and use them as an inroad to reaching other house members who might then response to wanting to engage better. You know, when we have debates and all of those things, let them know in ample time, like our local government town hall meetings that will be coming up soon. You know, you let them know in ample time, like, oh, we would like you to be part of this. Let them understand, let them give them those platforms to engage, you know.
Awesome.
And that's how we will keep going from there. It will never stop, but
absolutely, and we keep doing our
the
part.
quality of the engagement will
EIE
get better.
and ways, we are here to keep on doing our part. We keep on talking. Thank you so much, Ufuoma. Always a pleasure having you. All right, so state houses of assembly are not just legislative bodies. They are a crucial part of grassroots governance and democracy. Ignoring them leaves too much unchecked power in the hands of governors and too little representation for the people. So it's time to pay attention to what is happening in your state capital. Real change doesn't start from the top. It starts closer to home. So engage your state houses of assemblies today. Thank you so much for watching. If you missed our quote for the day, it says the performance of a parliament defines the strength of democracy. A weak state assembly is a threat to development and participatory governance. I'll see you guys tomorrow, live at 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.